Welcome to a conversation with a community leader, sponsored by Leadership Kitsap. I'm your host, Cary Bozeman, and I'm the former mayor of Bremerton and Bellevue, Washington. And my guest today is definitely a community leader. It's Deborah Horn, who is the executive director of Meals on Wheels. Welcome, Deborah.
Thank
Good
you.
to have you here.
Thank you for the
And
invitation.
I'm going to learn a lot about Meals on Wheels today. Which we've all heard the name almost, no one's not heard the name Meals on Wheels, but it'll be interesting to understand how you operate. Before we get into that, where are you from? What brought you to Kitsap County? Who are you, Deborah?
You bet. So I was born and raised in Hawaii.
Oh, lucky you.
And yes, I believe that as well.
Yeah, my favorite place in the world.
My in-laws lived here in the Northwest, and so we used to come up and travel every year to visit them. And on one of those trips, we decided that this would be a nice and affordable place to raise our family. And so we were blessed enough to be able to find a home and jobs and came up here, and that was almost 30 years ago.
So you've been in Kitsap County for 30 years?
Almost 30 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
And whereabouts in Hawaii were you born?
I'm from Kaneohe on the island of Oahu.
Uh-huh. Well, I'm a Maui visitor almost every year for the last 35 years, so I'm hooked.
Great place to visit.
Yeah, I know. How did you get involved with Meals on Wheels? I know you've done other things in your past, right? What's your history in nonprofit work?
So when I moved here, I've been working in nonprofit organizations here in Kitsap for almost 30 years. My first job was with Hospice of Kitsap County.
Oh,
and
needed organization.
Very wonderful organization, and I was lucky enough to be hired as their very first community relations director.
Wow.
Way back when, and worked with them for almost 10 years, and then went over to Peninsula Community Health Services as their director of development and public relations, and was there for almost about 10 years.
So you kind of 10 years,
almost
and
every 10 years.
You're about ready to look for something new, huh?
Well, actually, I feel really blessed that when I came over to Meals on Wheels Kitsap, it was really a place that I feel like is where I want to be retiring from. Right. It kind of brought for me the best of all worlds, the ability to still work in nonprofit organizations in a really great place. Kitsap County is a fabulous place to be working in a nonprofit world.
Quality of life.
Great community,
Yep.
very supportive, and then the ability to work with senior citizens, and can't get any better than that.
No, I've been on the board of Martha and Mary for quite a while. That's a great organization. I know you're familiar with them.
You bet.
Do a lot of good work. Okay, let's talk about Meals on Wheels. What is it?
So Meals on Wheels Kitsap is a 46-year-old organization.
So you're a Kitsap organization.
We are indeed local, nonprofit, community-based. We were founded in 1973 as Chuck Wagon Dinners at Home, and we're a senior nutrition program that provides healthy and nutritious meals for seniors throughout Kitsap County.
When you say seniors, how old do you have to be to qualify?
The minimum age is 60 years and older.
60 years and older. Okay. There's a national Meals on Wheels organization, isn't there?
There is, and actually we are one of about 5,500 Meals on Wheels programs across the United States. In Washington State alone, there are 22 senior nutrition programs just like us. But
Are they mostly county-based?
They basically operate differently in each community. So, for example, in King County, they are served by 2 different agencies. In Pierce County, senior services are provided by 2 different organizations. But communities like ours, Kitsap, Mason,
Does Mason County have their own Meals on Wheels?
Yes, actually, Mason County is part of a tri-county, so it's them, Lewis, and Thurston. and they're headquartered in Thurston.
Okay. Do you get any support or help out of the National Meals on Wheels organization?
We do in a number of different ways. We are totally independent and private nonprofit 501c3 organization. We belong to Meals on Wheels of America, and the support that we get from them come in terms of promotion and marketing, in advocacy work, in funding. They actually do a lot of national fundraising
I see they had
programs.
a new ad out actually last week with some famous
Subaru?
actor. I can't remember.
Richard Gere?
Richard Gere and his dad.
Yes.
Yeah, I saw that ad. So you're a nonprofit organization. Do you have a board of directors?
We do.
You do.
We do indeed.
And how do people get on the board of directors?
They,
And what does the board do?
So, like most nonprofit organizations, our board governs the organization.
So they hire you.
Yes,
to run the
I'm their
organization.
employee, only employee, and then they actually are responsible for setting policy, for establishing programs, for making sure that we're fiscally stable and able to continue to provide the services in our community. They're ambassadors. They're our
Yeah.
biggest cheerleaders.
How many on the board?
Currently, we have 7.
Oh,
We
small board.
Yes, and we have 4 more that are in the pike right this moment. So.
Do you have an office? Do you have a location?
We do. We have an administrative office that's located in East Bremerton on Wheaton Way, and we've been there for probably about 28, 29 years.
Okay.
Our food is actually prepared and packaged in downtown Bremerton. And then we operate 11 community dining sites located throughout Kitsap County.
So you have 11 sites throughout Kitsap County. You call them dining sites.
Community dining sites.
And is that where people can just walk in and grab a meal?
Well, they can't just walk in. They have to make a reservation 1 working day ahead of time because we don't prepare the meals there. We partner with senior centers, churches, community centers, and senior apartment complexes to serve those meals. The meals are actually prepared at a nonprofit commercial kitchen, and we have staff drivers that deliver them in bulk, and then they're served by volunteers.
Are some of them homeless?
I think that we've had a few people that are homeless. We're open to anybody who is 60 and older. And our program is really not income-based, although we serve a lot of lower income individuals. The real need is that you need to have good nutrition, access to good
But just
nutrition.
by the word Meals on Wheels, your primary mission is you're delivering food to people where they live. Is that correct or not?
Well, yes and no. So
and no.
we were founded under the name of Chuck Wagon Senior Nutrition Program, and many people know us as that. And we were founded where we actually provided the meals in these community dining sites, and then grew to deliver to homebound seniors. And even though we'd been in the community for so long, many people didn't realize that we served all of Kitsap County. Or, when you say you're with Chuck Wagon, they couldn't really understand what is Chuck Wagon. So about 7 years ago, we actually rebranded as Meals on Wheels Kitsap, primarily because everybody gets Meals on Wheels without the explanation.
Okay, let's talk about Meals on Wheels.
Okay.
How does someone qualify to be a recipient for having someone drive up to their door and give them a meal?
So again, 60 and older,
60 and older.
they have to be medically homebound. So because
So
of
medically homebound.
So health, psychological, physical reason, they're unable to physically prepare a nutritious meal on their own. They don't drive.
They don't drive.
Most of our clients are single, so they may be widows or widowers.
Living by themselves. a
Living
lot
by
of them?
themselves, yes. Many may have family members, but they don't live locally.
Right.
so they're unable to prepare.
And you deliver one meal a day?
Yes, it is one meal a day. So if you live in the what we call hot area, you get one meal Monday through Friday, and then you get 2 frozen meals on Friday for Saturday and Sunday.
Oh, okay.
If you live outside of that hot area, which is primarily the more rural county areas, you get up to 7 meals delivered once a week.
Is there a wage or earnings? People have to meet certain levels of be poor or
No.
I'm not saying this very well, but
If they have a
do you become
financial-
eligible based on your income?
No, no. Like I said earlier, we do serve many low-income individuals, but that is not the criteria. We actually serve many people who have good, steady retirements and income levels as well. They really just need to have access to nutritious
So
meals
these are people that have a hard time getting to the grocery store, huh?
and can't prepare their own meals safely.
And can't prepare their own meals safely. That's interesting. Huh, okay.
We also serve, Cary, we serve individuals on a short-term basis. So, for example, say you're having a knee replacement and you're not going to be able to drive your car to get out and go anywhere or go to the grocery store. And you definitely, if you can even get food delivered by the grocery stores, which happen today, you can't stand up long enough to prepare those meals. So many of our home delivered meal clients are also ones that it's temporary, 4 to 6 weeks while they're recuperating. And then once they are better and they can drive, then we invite them to come out to our community dining sites.
Oh, and you have 11 community dining sites. Where are some of them?
So we serve, again, countywide. So we have a site at the Burley Community Center in Burley. We have one at the Conifer Ridge Apartments in Port Orchard. We have one at the Bremerton Senior Center in
So you
Manette.
do go to senior centers.
You
I was
bet.
going to ask you that. Yeah.
And we serve all the way out to Village Green in Kingston, and then out to Bainbridge Island.
Who cooks these meals and who delivers these meals?
So our meals are designed by a registered dietitian to meet the daily requirements.
Are they mostly kind of lunch kind of meals?
They are lunch meals, but they really are more food than most people eat. So they're very hearty and
Do they
very
get 'em hot?
nutritious. Again, if you live in the hot area, which is for safety reasons, you live in Bremerton, you get a hot meal. If you live outside of the city limits, you actually get frozen
So who
meals.
does the cooking?
So we actually have a dietitian that develops the meal plan and the menus, and we pay a contractor to prepare those meals
you
for
do?
us.
So the contractor has their own kitchen,
They do.
so they can prepare all that?
Yes,
And
sir.
then the people, who are the people that deliver these meals?
So we have paid staff drivers that deliver in the rural areas and also take out the bulk meals to the community dining sites. And then we have a cadre of volunteers. We just truly could not do it without our volunteers who deliver hot meals.
Volunteers come and pick up the food. They've got a delivery schedule where they know they're going to go.
Yes.
And they go deliver the food. Do they get to know, do your volunteers that are doing this usually stay around for a while?
Yep.
So they get to know the people?
You bet. So, our tagline is that we're more than a meal. And the more than a meal piece are things like the socialization that they might get at a community dining site. It's the face-to-face visits with our volunteers and our staff members. For many of our home delivered meal clients especially, our volunteers and drivers are the only people that they see.
Oh.
So we provide
So
a safety
they're not
check.
getting other people to see.
Where
They're
their,
not seeing other people during the day.
where their eyes, their ears, their
Wow.
hands, we're the safety check that
Wow.
many of their families appreciate.
Wow. So do some of the, I assume some of the drivers create relationships with these people?
Actually, everybody does. So,
Everybody does.
So, I mean, I don't know how you can't. I mean, these
Yeah.
seniors are like so wonderful, and
Yeah.
it's a really two-way street. You know, our volunteers get a lot out of serving them and listening to their stories, and the volunteers truly appreciate the company.
Right. And how long, on the average, does a person that's being served stay on the program?
That varies. I mean, we have current diners at our community dining sites that have been there for 20 years because they're still able to get out and about, and
So they've
they
been
come to
coming into
these
your
to
dining
the
site
to
for
the
20
dining
years?
sites.
Wow.
Yep.
That's amazing.
And then we have some that just come on the program and they come and they try it and they realize that they don't like the food, or they don't it's not for them, eating together in a site, and everything in between.
And are they paying for the food in any way?
So we don't charge. We
don't charge?
We don't bill people for their meals. We ask that they make a contribution that they can afford towards the cost of the meal. So the suggested donation is $3 a meal. It costs us about $8 per meal.
So these people that you're delivering to, there's not an income level that makes them eligible. So they could be people of substance, and you're delivering free meals to them.
Well, we don't like to use the word free,
Free,
but we
you're
do.
not charging them.
We don't charge them, we don't bill them, but we do encourage a contribution.
Do you encourage that each time they get a meal?
So they get a lot of documentation that shows them that they can, and we provide payment envelopes so that if they're interested in paying, they can do it that way. Some people pay, or their family members pay for the meals online. If you come to one of the community dining sites, there's a donation box where you come in and sign in for your meal, and you can put in whatever you want.
Oh, that's interesting. So they're making a contribution, is what you're hoping.
Yes.
Is the people receiving these Meals on Wheels write you a check,
They have.
right? Is that what you expect?
They
Is that
do.
what you hope?
If they do, they can pay by check or they can pay by cash.
Right. Do you have a website where people can go on and do that?
We do. We have PayPal services on our website where people can actually make contributions.
Yeah. How does do most people do that? They're benefiting from your service?
Well, remember that our client age predominantly are 60 and over. The majority of them are between 65 and 85, and the older people don't really like to use electronic means to pay.
No, I know.
But
I don't either.
But if their children, for example, choose to make the donation, we sometimes get it through PayPal from them. Other people prefer to have their bank send us a check every month or whatever.
So the drivers, they're using their own cars?
The volunteers that deliver hot meals use their own cars. The staff drivers that deliver to the meal sites and the county run use company cars.
So how many meals every day do you put out there for people?
Depends on the day and, to be honest, what they're serving, because everybody has their favorites.
Do you have a menu that stays the same each week? I mean, Mondays you have this, Tuesdays you have that.
No, we actually have a menu that changes every month, and it is available on our website. They also are delivered to all of our clients at the community dining and their home delivered sites. So, we serve several hundred meals and clients every week. Last year we
Every week? So daily you're serving?
Maybe about 100 to 200 people a day.
So you're feeding 100 to 200 people a day, and half that are being delivered by volunteers?
Yes.
Okay.
And then remember, because some of those clients are getting 7 meals delivered on that day, but it lasts for the whole week.
Oh, they're getting 7 meals delivered.
If you live in that frozen area, like in the county rural areas,
All right.
you're getting 7.
So how much does it cost to feed someone a month or a day, or do you have a number?
Yeah, so, you know, what it costs us to provide meals for a senior for 1 year.
For 1 year?
One meal a day for a whole year is what it costs to be in a nursing home for a week or a hospital for a day. We're very cost efficient.
So how much is that?
So-
Approximately.
So it costs us $8 a day to feed, per meal to feed a senior. And that's the food, that's the gas, the vehicles, the staff time, and so forth.
So $8 a day to feed someone over a year, that's what? How much?
$2,500.
$2,500 to feed a person for a year at one meal. You got to raise a lot of money to be able to do that.
So you didn't ask about our funding, and I would love to share with
Well, it's on
that
my
with
list.
you. Okay.
You're getting ahead of me.
Am I? All right.
Yeah. The food itself, you've got a nutritionist, so you're trying to serve healthy meals, I'm
They're-
assuming.
They all meet 1/3 of the recommended dietary allowance that seniors require. So these are very hearty, healthy meals. We don't add salt. They are not, obviously there is salt in regular foods, but we don't add any to it. They're kind of full of fresh fruits and vegetables and an entree, and we provide 2% milk to everybody. So they're full.
Is there a dessert?
Sometimes there are, and most times the fresh fruit is the dessert.
Do you do anything special on the holidays like Thanksgiving and
You
Christmas?
bet. And
Thanksgiving, I'm assuming you
we had
turkey dinner.
We did, with dressing, pumpkin pie, and the whipped cream.
Yeah, nice.
But they don't get the whipped cream every day, but they do.
You have more requests than you can serve.
At the present time, we're able to provide services to everybody.
So no one gets turned down,
No.
right?
No.
And how, if someone's new and they want to be involved in the program, how do they do that?
So if it's the community dining program, you merely have to call and make a reservation 1 working day ahead of time. You call our main office. And then when you come to the meal site, there is some paperwork that you fill out, and you can choose to be a regular diner at that site.
Okay.
And then your name just goes on a reservation list.
Okay.
For home delivered, you actually have to call. There's an assessment process.
Okay, how big's your staff and how much is your operating budget each year?
So we have a small staff. We have 11 individuals, but our FTE is 5.6 FTE.
So there's you
Most of
and,
them are part-time,
there's you and 5 part-time people running this whole show?
and then 5 drivers.
5 drivers, wow.
Yeah. And then we're very blessed to have over 120 volunteers
120 volunteers.
permeate the entire organization.
So it's really volunteer driven,
It is indeed.
is that right? And you don't turn anybody down. So what does it cost you to operate this business, this nonprofit organization?
So our budget for this year is $800,000.
How much?
Is $800,000.
800,000, wow. And how do you raise that?
So we receive Older American Act dollars from the federal government.
So there's a federal,
It's a federally funded senior program that comes through, funds come through, pass through from the feds to the state to the counties.
you have to
And-
apply for that every year?
Actually, we apply every 3 to 4 years with the county,
Okay.
Kitsap County.
All right.
We also
Can you count on it? They're usually there every year for you?
we have been for the last
Good.
many years.
Yeah, good.
We also receive state and federal government funding through CDBG,
Okay.
and also workplace giving campaigns.
Do the local governments give you
CFP.
anything, cities?
We have in the past gotten from the city of Bremerton,
Okay.
but not from any of the other cities.
Okay.
And then we raise money through
So
different
you do
events.
fundraising?
And we also are very blessed to have contributions from foundations and grants, other grants.
You got any fundraising events you do?
We actually have a couple of events that we do every year. We just finished our holiday Jingle Fest event at the fairgrounds this past weekend. We actually do a Let's Do Lunch campaign in March where you buy a box lunch for yourself and you get 2 lunches for seniors.
Okay. 800,000. So if someone wants to make a contribution to Meals on Wheels, they can go online and
Yes.
Meals on Wheels, and there's a
Kitsap.
Kitsap Meals on Wheels.
It's mealsonwheelskitsap.org.
Okay, and they can make a contribution online, or they can write a check to Meals on Wheels.
Yes,
Is that
sir.
right? And if they wrote a check, trying to help you out here,
You bet.
Director. If they wrote a check for, what did we say it costs to feed someone for a year?
About $2,500.
So it's $2,500. So if my wife and I wanted to feed a person for a year, we'd write you a check for $2,500,
Yes.
right? Well, you're doing a lot of work and a lot of good things. If these people didn't get these meals, what would they be doing?
Well, they would pretty much be languishing because, again, it's the more than a meal. It's the nutritious meal, allows them to stay and age in their place of residence.
Some dignity.
With some dignity,
Right.
and be in control for as much as they can.
Does Medicare cover any of this?
It does not.
So there's no Medicare program here. And a person can stay in the program as long as they want. There's no time limit on how many years you can get a meal.
You bet. You
A
bet.
meal on a wheel. Wow. And you've got only 5 staff, but you do this with 135 volunteers.
We have 130 volunteers and 10 staff, 5 office, 5 drivers.
Wow. It's amazing. Can you imagine not having this program? I mean, how would these people get their food?
Well, food and the
And
one-on-one.
the connection
Yep, the
to
safety check
people.
is
Because,
very
I read an
valuable.
article, I think it was in the New York Times a few weeks ago, about loneliness being such a big problem in our society. That older people by themselves want to stay in their home and they're lonely. And so this program not only feeds their stomachs, but it feeds their soul, right? Because
You bet.
people show up and I'm sure they sit down and have a conversation
And
once in
they're
a while.
concerned about them.
And they're concerned about them.
Yes.
So God bless you, I mean, it's a great program. Deborah, is there anything I haven't asked you that you want to say to the folks about this program before we wrap it up?
Well, I really would like to ask the community to continue supporting Meals on Wheels. Certainly financial contributions help, but we always are looking for volunteers.
Are you?
And so please, check.
So you can
call
go
us
on the
up.
website to volunteer too?
You can get our application downloaded from there as well, or call our office and speak to our volunteer coordinator.
Oh, that's great. Well, I want to thank you for your service.
Thank you for
And
the opportunity.
Absolutely, you're making a difference in this community, and I can't imagine if we didn't have this service what these people would be doing. It would be awful. So thank you so much.
Well,
And this has been another conversation with a community leader. I'm Cary Bozeman, and I'm looking forward to seeing you next time with another community leader. And remember, we're sponsored by Leadership Kitsap. We'll see you next time.
Leadership Kitsap is our community's civic leadership program. Leadership Kitsap fosters and empowers educated, prepared, and engaged community leaders. For over 25 years, we have cultivated leaders that work collaboratively to create positive change, dedicated to making our community a better place to work and live. We expose our class to Kitsap's leaders across public, private, and nonprofit sectors. We're happy to bring many of the conversations with these leaders to you. Strong leaders build strong communities.